Secondhand smoke kills people. It's the third leading cause of preventable death in this country.
What a lot of people don't know is in a small room, it can only take one cigarette to well surpass hazardous levels of outdoor standards set by the EPA.
There's plenty of money to be made out there for all of us, but with that money comes the obligation to do it the right way. You can't make people sick while you're making your money.
I'd have 200 compliments to every complaint, and the few that said they would never eat here again are still eating here.
Lexington was the first community in Kentucky to pass such a ban. It made some stir because Lexington was the biggest burley tobacco market in the country before the ban was passed.
So my goals to my research are really to make Kentucky a better place and to make quality of life better for Kentuckians. And since tobacco is the single most preventable cause of death in Kentucky and the United States as a whole, we had a great opportunity here in Lexington, because when Lexington went smoke-free in April of 2004, we had a great natural experiment to study the effects of this law, both from a health standpoint and an economic standpoint. One group that is disproportionately affected by secondhand smoke exposure is the workforce, and people who are working specifically in the food service or hospitality industries. Those are the people that are specifically at risk for this dangerous substance.
I got handed scientific, undebatable, non-arguable facts that secondhand smoke was poisoning our employees. And I felt, and the other shareholders of the company felt, that we don't have the right to let our employees get sick while we're making all the money.
We randomly chose restaurants and bars to be in our study.
The way that you do it is to cut someone's hair like really close to where their scalp is, and that hair that's closest to their scalp shows their most recent exposure to nicotine, either through being a tobacco user themselves or through experiencing it in secondhand smoke.
We also had them fill out a survey, and we asked them things like if they smoked and how much they smoked and how much secondhand smoke they were exposed to. We did that 3 months before the law. Then we did the very, very same thing 3 months after the law was in effect with the very same cohort of restaurant and bar workers, and we cut their hair again. We really didn't expect such a large drop, and that was about a 56% drop. Workers were being protected by this law.
What we were looking for was to see what was public sentiment in terms of the acceptability of the law, first before it was actually in place and then afterwards, and we found actually that there was an increase in the level of acceptability of the law once it was implemented.
People like smoke-free laws. They're leery about them at first. Some people have a lot of myth and misperception about what they're going to do and what they mean. But the reality is that's not what we found. People like them. They really didn't change their social practices. We asked, if they went to bars after the smoke-free law, and we found that they did. They really didn't change their practices. They went just as much as they went before. A lot of the general public and business owners are afraid of these laws because you hear people say that they're going to go out of business. We took a very planned, deliberate approach to look at what happened in Lexington.
Our focus is mainly on bars, restaurants, and hotels, because people who think there might be an impact think those are the business segments that are most likely to be affected. Lexington and Kentucky itself has an above average number of smokers. So if there was anything a little different about our study, it is that we were dealing with a population in which the percentage of smokers was larger than in most other studies. What we found was that, in general, the presence of the smoking ordinance didn't seem to have either a positive or negative effect on business activity.
There are air quality monitors that can actually capture the particulate matter in the air at different levels.
When somebody smokes, there's a lot of fine particulate matter that comes out of the burning end of the cigarette. Those very small fine particles get lodged into the lung and cause the health problems we know come from secondhand smoke. These things can only be measured by this side pack monitor that we use. And in Lexington, we found a 91% drop in these fine particle air pollution levels, which is huge. When we ask restaurant and bar workers how they felt, even within 3 months after a law passed here in Lexington, by and large, they all said, whether they smoked or not, that they felt better, they weren't coughing less, they had fewer colds, they could breathe better. They just generally physically reported that they felt better.
The air was fresher, the tables were easier to clean. We also eliminated the wait at the front door, some people waiting for smoking, some people waiting for non-smoking.
Kentucky now has several communities that have some sort of smoke-free law. Lexington started the ball rolling in '04, and now we have several communities that have had, passed some sort of laws. And about 16,500 people became non-smokers as a result of our law. It's easier for people to put it down when they can't smoke everywhere. We estimate that we saved about $21 million a year from smoking-related costs. Kentucky spends about $1.17 billion, not million, but $1 billion a year treating sick smokers.
A smoke-free ordinance, on the face of it, appears to get into people's personal rights until you understand you're making the people sick that are smelling it. Once you have that evidence, it changes. New York City did not fold when it went smoke-free. Ireland did not collapse as a country when it went smoke-free. All that history and all that data coming to the table make it a lot easier than it used to be.
You can see that I'm very passionate about the research I do because it truly makes a difference, and it has made a difference because I think as policymakers have looked at our data in other communities as well as here in Lexington, I think it has helped them make informed decisions about what to do next. And so to me, it's very satisfying that policymakers and advocates in other communities can look at our data and find use out of them. That's why we do it. We want to make Kentucky a better place.